Welcome to the Dacus Report, hosted by Pacific Justice Institute founder and president Brad Dacus. For 25 years, PJI has counseled, represented, and defended people whose religious freedoms, parental rights, or sanctity of life have been obstructed or violated, all free of charge. We leave no one behind and level the playing field for Americans as they are subjected to the tyranny of the powerful. Now, here's Brad Dacus.
Welcome to Brad Dacus Live. I'm Brad Dacus, president and founder of Pacific Justice Institute. On today's show, we have with us a very sharp individual, attorney Kurt English, who is on this show frequently because he is very, very wise on not just legal issues, but also political issues and impact of with regards to policies and laws. So welcome to the show, Kurt. Look forward to having you and talking about a lot of really hot issues, including, right off the bat, the Southern Poverty Law Center.
One of your favorite groups, Brad.
Yeah. This organization, they started off fighting the KKK way back when the KKK used to exist. I mean, functionally exist. And then they decided that after the KKK was gone and Jim Crow laws were gone, they're like, well, we got to stay in existence, so we need to create more hate groups. We got
to keep raising money to support our lifestyle.
Yeah, so they had to create more enemies, so they had to create more groups to hate or call hate groups, which include a lot of Christians, conservative groups, Dr. James Dobson, just a lot of people.
And a group near and dear to your heart, Brad. Pacific Justice Institute.
Yes, of course. I thought
who they claim was a hate group falsely.
Yeah, exactly. And also Focus on the Family, Family Research Center.
D. James Kennedy back in his day.
Yeah, D. James Kennedy. So there's a lot of people, even Franklin Graham, Billy Graham's son, and his ministry, Samaritan's Purse, they have had him on the hate list as well. So
but let's be honest with our audience. What they mean is they hate Christians. And so they call us what they are. They accuse us of believing what they believe. They accuse us of doing what they do, and they accuse us of wanting to do what they want to do. That's right. What's really going on.
Yeah, because, now I understand the Department of Justice has not just suggested it, but they've actually brought criminal charges. And we're talking about big issues like wire fraud, bank fraud, conspiracy to commit money laundering.
Well, these are additional allegations after the first set of indictments, because as they get more information, they're discovering more crimes. But this is outrageous. Here's a group that was claiming they oppose hate, and they were giving Ku Klux Klan members, allegedly, money to buy robes, hoods, and crosses to burn.
That is unthinkable.
We call those false flag events, where communists in history will create a crime or an outrage, and then they will rally against it in pure propaganda mode. That's what Nazis did too.
Yeah, that's what they did too as well. They created crimes against their side, so they have a justification
for committing violence against their political enemies.
Yeah. So that's what we see as being alleged, and I think is going to be easily proven. But the things that they were so low to give allegedly hundreds of thousands of dollars to leadership in groups like the KKK and busing and all this stuff so they could create this conflict and use it to justify raising more money. But that's so shameful.
But let's take that to our side. Let's suppose there was a church that was trying to proselytize kids into homosexuality so they could raise money to fight homosexuality in youth.
Yeah, we'd be outraged.
We would want that guy fired, thrown in jail.
Yeah.
I mean, we would come down hard on a minister like that.
Now,
we wouldn't put up with it.
Yeah, now so far, I haven't heard much from the left, major donors. I haven't heard anything of them come out saying, this is outrageous. We're not going to support Southern Poverty Law Center. I haven't heard that yet. Now, I'm watching to see if any of their major backers, corporate backers and others, go ahead and say, we're not going to back him anymore. The verdict's still out on that, I think, but I'm still waiting to hear.
Well, I'd like to see some political activists and some journalists ask those questions.
Yeah, because
they all have marketing departments. They all have PR departments. make them take a position.
And I will say this, right now there's some time that's being allotted for these companies to do the right thing. But without question, the day is coming when those that are still choosing to fund SPLC, those companies, those businesses, those foundations will all be exposed. It'll all be brought to the surface. And then people can decide whether or not they want to buy brand X, Y, and Z or services X, Y, and Z that are funding evil like the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Buying robes and hoods for the KKK. You can just see the AI created commercials now, right?
Oh, yes.
Big company brand, burning crosses, hoods, and robes. So they're funding this.
Right.
ABC drink or ABC food is funding this.
Yeah.
We're making that up. We're not. If there's an ABC food or drink, we're not saying that they're responsible.
We just made that up.
Generic. It's a generic name, yes.
Yeah, generic. Yeah, it's not a real. So thank you for that clarification. Well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Now, what we've done at Pacific Justice Institute, I personally have made a public challenge to their president, Brian Fair, and I put it in writing. I put it on video. I made it very direct to him to say, look, these allegations that you've made against Pacific Justice Institute, let's sit down. It'll be unedited. It'll be open. People can watch it, and you can give all the evidence you have to support your outrageous allegations against Pacific Justice Institute. And if it turns out that that's validated, let it stand. But if it's not, they need to be held accountable, and that's exactly what we want to do. And we have a lot of great information to expose to the people about them, and I'd be happy to make that against them.
Well, that's the point I was going to make, is now with this indictment, all this information, I think it should be a mutual accountability session, Brad.
Yes, because there's some interesting questions that I have for them.
So what's that guy's name again?
Brian Fair.
Brian Fair. Are you hiding under your desk, or are you going to come talk to Brad? What are you doing?
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But I made it public, very direct, and we'll see if he has the courage, the conviction of the spine to take me up on that. It's so easy.
I'm going to make a prediction.
They're like a bully. You know what I mean? They make these, they pick on, but when you stand up to them,
you punch them in the face, then they come whining to their mama.
Yeah. And that's what I think we're seeing Southern Poverty Law Center. They have no spine, no conviction. They're just a sleazy racket trying to make lots of money to pay for exorbitant salaries, exorbitant lifestyles, and at the expense of a lot of people who are just.
Well, think about what suckers their donors are.
Yeah.
Whereas organizations that are legitimate, like Pacific Justice Institute, the dollars that go to Pacific Justice Institute go such a long way and are used only for the exact purposes. And PJI's work is supplemented by a lot of volunteer attorney time too. So it's money well spent to donate to PJI.
Yeah. Well.
And by the way, isn't there an event coming up in October for PJI?
Yes, there is. It's our big annual celebration of justice. And it's a big gala in Southern California, Orange County, October 17th. And we have Emily Campagno from Fox News. She's going to be speaking. Also, we have, we have Todd Starnes is going to be there. He's going to be the MC. And Ray Comfort is also going to be there. He's going to be speaking. So it's going to be a fantastic event. And folks, if you don't have your tickets, please feel free to go to our website, pji.org. We usually get sold out 1 to 2 months in advance. So don't wait. It happens every time. People say, I can't get the tickets. And I say, well, we're sold out. So pji.org, pji.org. We have people flying from across the country to attend this very special event. And once again, pji.org. Get your tickets now.
It'll be a great event.
It really will. It really will. Now, we also have an issue that we're dealing with that has been front and center in the media, and that's election fraud.
Well, Brad, the problem is there's some blue states that want to facilitate election cheating. My words, not the position of this network or anyone else, by having mail-in ballots. And in fact, Governor Gavin Newsom in California issued an emergency executive order mandating there be no signature verification in mail-in ballots, because California has a requirement to verify the signature, that to make sure they don't do what One of those investigative journalists discovered some lady was going down to Skid Row and registering people to vote at her home, hundreds of them, and paying them to vote and taking their ballots in.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of massive systemic fraud that blue states are trying to encourage and look the other way and pretend not to see.
And the big problem, I think that what they're going to be facing is criminal prosecution federally by the Department of Justice against these individuals. And the Department of Justice is very aggressive. I understand they're going after this information, the voter information. They're combing it through to look for individuals who are involved in this outrageous election fraud taking place.
Well, just today, hot off the presses, even a moment before our show, Nick Shirley, the investigative journalist that was uncovering the healthcare fraud in Minnesota and in California, has found a voter who was 128 years old on the California voter rolls. And we all know the oldest person in the United States is about 110 or 11. So that is per se fraud. And states are required to eliminate dead people off of the voter rolls. But guess which states have refused to do it? A lot of blue states.
The blue states.
Why? Because they're harvesting the votes and voting for them. In California, they mail a ballot to everyone. And at the DMV, they try to force you to register to vote when you get a driver's license.
And I understand there's many aliens, illegal aliens,
yes,
that have driver's license
and that's why they did
vote.
it, because they wanted them to vote, and they vote for them.
And I understand also that the Department of Justice is now uncovering people like who did that. They have voted. They've got the technology, the ability to assess people who voted to see if they were citizens or not. And if they're not, my understanding is we could be looking at some very aggressive criminal prosecution, immediate deportation. And I like to see every single one of them immediately, permanently deported from this country if they're caught. And I hope that information gets out. I hope they learn those days of engaging in fraud, election fraud, and not being responsible. Those days are coming to an end because of the great Department of Justice that we have with the Trump administration. What say you?
In the Bible, we're required to render unto Caesar. Jesus said so. And many ministers have preached sermons about the importance of Christians being engaged in politics, voting, getting their neighbors to vote, and voting in an informed manner, but also activism. Here is an opportunity for the viewers and the listeners of your program to get involved.
To see that happen. Now, folks, when we return, we're going to talk about victims' rights and how shocking it is and insane it can be for individuals, victims, to be victimized and seemingly no one doing anything about it. We return right after this.
At PJI, we exist to serve everyone in need of counsel, representation, and defense of their religious liberties, parental rights, and the sanctity of life. We don't take cases based on how high profile they are. We are workhorses, not show horses. Keep current on PJI's work on all the legal challenges we face on a daily basis by signing up for our Legal Insider email newsletter at pji.org. Now, back to the Dacus Report.
Welcome back. And folks, if you'd like to keep up with the many cases that we're handling at Pacific Justice Institute, you can do that by simply going to our website, pji.org, and click Stay Up to Date. We have something called our Legal Insider, and it's an e-newsletter. It's short, it's very informative, and we'll keep you updated. Also, there's other parts of our media productions you'll have immediate access to. Be sent to you via email. Take advantage of this. We've also got great resources, all free on our website, pji.org. And of course, once again, we have our big celebration of justice coming up October 17th with Emily Campagno, big high name person with Fox News, and as well as Ray Comfort and others, Todd Starnes. Just go to pji.org, pji.org. All right, now I'd like to welcome back to our show our guest. Thank you so much for joining us. And we talked about victims' rights right before the show. I understand there was someone who was murdered because they supported President Trump.
Yes, there was an old man that had Trump paraphernalia in his front yard on his own property and was killed because of that, targeted.
Yeah, and the person was caught, and I
I
assume
understand they've been arrested, but not only is it a state crime, I would argue a federal crime. And there's a question as to whether California would enforce the death penalty. But if it's a federal hate crime, I think the death penalty is in order for this individual. If we can't express our political views without being targeted for violence, we don't have a country, we have a war. And my ancestors fought in the Revolutionary War for their rights. And I think we have to just decide we're not going to put up with this. So if the government's not going to protect us, we need a new government and new people, and we need to vote in November and vote out the people that will not protect us.
Yeah, there's judges out there. It's just shameful. They're letting go people who are being charged for murder, rape, and saying, "Okay, yeah, you don't have to worry about bail. Yeah, you just go back on the streets."
Or giving them soft sentences when they've committed rape or murder. And I've mentioned this on your show before. If I was the plaintiff or the plaintiff's family, I would sue the judge personally as an accessory to the crime if they let them loose. And again, as Harry Reid said, the process is the punishment. You go through litigation, we will shame you in public. And I don't care about the law that's saying you can't protest in front of a federal judge's house. You can arrest me for that too. And we'll have that constitutional fight about whether I have a right to petition my government for redress. I think our side needs to get a lot more aggressive.
Well,
A lot more aggressive.
legislation that I really liked was the actually it's a pending bill. It's called the Jail Act, and basically what it says is, judges, if you let someone go and they are being charged with a criminal serious like a murder or et cetera, and they have a background in this regard, and you let that person go, and that person does a violent act against someone else, then that person who's victimized can sue the judge
Yes.
for this kind of negligence and non-enforcement of the law.
Oh, I would say it's reckless, not
It's-
just negligent.
yeah, it's
As you know,
reckless.
in the law, negligence is one standard, but intent is a higher standard. And in the law, if you are reckless, they impute intent. Like if I'm driving 110 miles an hour down the freeway, changing lanes, and I hit somebody, I'm good, even though I didn't intend to hit them, I'm going to be deemed to intend because my conduct was reckless.
Right. So I think it'd be great if it passed. I know there's some people from the left are going to oppose it. They like to have criminals released and to be able to victimize people. They like murders. They like rapes. They like little children being killed and hurt.
You know what
and
I think
molested.
it is? I think it's a self-righteousness where they can say, well, this person was a minority, or they were poor, or they are disabled, or they're mentally ill, and we want to have compassion for them. And everyone who's not compassionate to them is immoral. So they're playing God and imposing their own religion and their own morality on the rest of us in a way that's harming us. And we have to stop those people and their lunacy and their cult-like behavior. I mean, some people argue that the far left has become a cult.
Yeah. Well, you throw logic and reasoning out the window. That's
Well, but the government's primary job is to protect us. If the government can't do that, we just need to vote these people out.
exactly.
And by the way, render unto Caesar. That's our duty. It's not just our right
Which is to vote.
to vote intelligently,
Right.
to get your neighbors to vote. Do you know that Barna, the researcher, says that 1/3 of Christians aren't even registered to vote?
Yeah, it's shocking when we realize that. And the good news is that we at Pacific Justice Institute have been working very successfully to help churches have voter registration Sundays.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so 3 elections ago, our church engagement division, headed up by Peter Mord, we got 321 churches to have voter registration during their Sunday services. In the lobby area, there's a table. That's the most common way of doing it. We register everyone who wants to register to vote, not just of one party or another. It's legal. It's protected. The next election, 2 elections ago, that went from 321 to 512. This last election, the general election, it went from 512 to just under 900 churches having voter registration Sundays. We already have over 1,000 churches that have committed to have voter registration Sundays before this next midterm election. And these have a big impact. When pastors make it a priority for Christians to exhibit their testimony. Now, I say testimony, people say, what do you mean testimony? It's voting. Well, here's a point. If a church truly cares about people outside their church walls, they truly have the love of Jesus, truly, then they're going to vote. It's that simple.
Tell us why. That's an
well-
interesting
Well,
point.
when you don't vote, you say, I don't care about the preborn. I don't care about people being victimized by criminals that should be behind bars.
I don't care about my church's religious freedom.
I don't care about religious freedom. Well, that's the whole point. When you don't vote, you say, I don't care about this, and this that are impacting real people, real lives.
So you're saying it's a form of selfishness.
It's selfishness, and it also basically sends a loud message to non-believers that Christians are hypocrites. They really don't care. They say they have a love of Jesus, but look how many of them are staying at home who do not care at all. That's the message that's being sent. It's legal to have voter registration Sundays. It's not political. It's a duty. It's being faithful with having a testimony of people who are involved, who care. This is a no-brainer. And any pastor who says, oh no, I don't want to have voter registration, that's someone who is obsessed with being pleasers of men and fearful that someone might misjudge it or might misinterpret it. That person should not be a pastor if they don't have that kind of spine, in my opinion. What say you?
I can't top that one. I think that speaks for itself. We need bold pastors to be bold from the pulpit. We're celebrating the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution, and as what's his name, Tim Barton,
David Barton.
David Barton talks about the Black Robe Regiment, which are the Presbyterian ministers in the American Revolution, and there was one in particular that gave a sermon, and at the end of the sermon, he undid his robe, and there was a Revolutionary War uniform underneath. And he called the men of the congregation, come fight with me. And every one of them did. Yeah. And they were their own regiment in the Revolutionary War. And by 1781, this band of patriots defeated the most powerful man in the world. You read about Solomon, the richest, the wisest man. King George III in 1776 dwarfed the wealth of Solomon, if you adjust for inflation and technology and everything else. He was probably the richest man in the history of the world.
The largest empire worldwide, probably.
With lots of resources coming back to England. And you know what? His lifestyle was less than a lower middle class person in the United States today because of technology and medical care and everything else. So think about what those people did. By the time they won the last battle in 1781, they had defeated the most powerful man in the world.
So we're not asking pastors to take off their robes and have uniforms and have brigades and ask their churches to. No, we're just saying, pastors, will you just simply help the church do what they should be doing as Christians, which is register to vote. And any church, small, large, whatever, have the capacity generally to have church homeschool co-ops. They don't have to start a private school.
And I advocate them strongly. Look for one in your area. Two quickies before we go. There's two Supreme Court decisions. One that's been made where the Alabama map was upheld because it got rid of racial gerrymandering, which the Supreme Court ruled illegal a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
The second one coming is the birthright citizenship case. So we'll look for that.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens on that. Some people think, I'm sort of cynical. I'm like, I don't know if how it's going to turn out. But you're somewhat.
I'm optimistic, and we've had some good decisions this year, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. Like
the 9-0 decision to protect the privacy of pro-life clinics. Remember that one?
That's right. So we're seeing some great things coming down because of the appointments during Trump's first administration. We're seeing those benefits play out.
We were told to pray for our leaders. Let's do it.
Yeah, definitely. Let's do it. All right. Thank you so much for being on the program, Kurt. Really appreciate it. So, folks, there you have it. It's our God-given freedoms we're talking about. Now, let's choose to keep them. I'm Brad Dacus, president of the Pacific Justice Institute. Let's continue the fight for your freedoms.
We would love the opportunity to continue to serve you. Just visit pji.org and click the Legal Insider button to sign up for our email newsletter. At PJI, we help individual employees, employers, business owners, pastors, students, citizens of every stripe through our practical resources, counsel, representation, and defense, all free of charge at pji.org. PJI is an island of stability and assurance in our ever-churning sea of legal and societal chaos. We are here for you.
So, folks, just remember, it's our God-given freedoms we're talking about. Now, let's choose to keep them. I'm Brad Dacus, president of the Pacific Justice Institute. Let's continue the fight for your freedoms.